dig it. My pops used to indulge.
My father was a
in
good
heroin
dude.
though. Now I don't know if he did the crack.
My uncles fucked
My
with that.
father was
My
a good
parents
dude. He
didn't
was
get
a
out of
hustler, but he was in that first wave of that crack era. And when he got high and he smoked crack, he never came back home. Like he came back home literally, but not figuratively. Like he was never the same. And my mother battled her own addiction, and she had her own issues and stuff like that. So yeah, we might have been out early, in the streets and doing things and stuff like that. But
Uncle Murda recently made headlines by stepping into a situation that had been quietly building tension for a while. What started as a small joke during an interview between Jim Jones and Tony Yayo exploded into something much bigger. Jim Jones decided to clown Tony Yayo over a comment he made about 50 Cent and Jay-Z, but he did not realize he was walking into a situation that was about to get serious. Tony Yayo had mentioned that 50 Cent takes care of his people better than Jay-Z ever did, and that comment struck a nerve with many people watching closely. At first, it seemed like harmless joking, but Jim Jones's reaction made it clear that this was more than just casual banter. He was trying to undermine Yayo by making loyalty seem like weakness. That moment became the tipping point that drew Uncle Murda into the mix. Uncle Murda is not someone who speaks lightly when it comes to loyalty and respect. He has been part of the hip-hop world for years and has seen firsthand how relationships work at the top level of the industry. When he heard Jim Jones belittling Yayo and the loyalty he has with 50 Cent, he did not hold back. Murda made his position very clear in one strong statement that immediately drew attention. Jay got business partners, but 50 got brothers. That sentence resonated with fans across social media because it summed up a difference in how these two hip-hop legends manage their relationships. Jay-Z is often seen as a businessman, someone who carefully evaluates the people around him based on what benefits him and his brand. On the other hand, 50 Cent has always been about loyalty first. He rewards people who have been there with him from the start, and he keeps them close regardless of whether it benefits him financially or strategically in the short term. To understand why Uncle Murda's words carry so much weight, it is important to look at the history between these artists. Tony Yayo, for example, has been with 50 Cent since the early G-Unit mixtape days. He was there before the fame, before the money, and before the big tours. Over the years, 50 Cent has continually supported Yayo, keeping him on tours, making sure he has exposure, and helping him grow his brand. Yayo has repeatedly mentioned that this was never about private jets or flashy spending. It was about creating opportunities that last and building a team that can thrive even when the spotlight isn't shining on them. That kind of loyalty and mentorship is rare in the music industry, and it is exactly why Murda respects 50 Cent so much. In contrast, Jay-Z has a different approach to relationships in the industry. He moves like a CEO running a corporation. People are around when they serve the business, and when they stop being beneficial, the connection often fades. This has been observed with people like Dame Dash, Kanye West, Beanie Sigel, and others who at one point had close relationships with Jay-Z, but eventually found themselves distanced or completely cut off once business circumstances changed. Jay-Z's method is strategic, calculated, and sometimes cold, but it works from a business perspective. The problem is, loyalty and emotional connection are often sacrificed in the process. Uncle Murda has first-hand experience with both sides of this spectrum. He saw how the game operates behind the scenes at places like Rockefeller, where Jay-Z's influence and methods are visible up close. He also experienced firsthand what it meant to work with 50 Cent and G-Unit, where loyalty is rewarded, respect is constant, and opportunities are created for those who stick by you from day one. Murda has shared stories about how he was able to buy his first house because of the support and guidance he received from 50 Cent. That moment changed his life, not because it was a flashy gift, but because it showed a level of care and trust that went far beyond simple business. The conversation that sparked this feud began with Tony Yayo making a statement that many fans believe was fair and accurate. He said that 50 Cent looks after his artists better than Jay-Z ever did, highlighting loyalty as a key differentiator. When Jim Jones jumped in and tried to twist that perspective, he unintentionally poured gasoline on the situation. He framed loyalty as dependence and respect as weakness, which struck a nerve with Murda, Yayo, and fans who have watched both camps closely over the years. Social media quickly exploded as fans debated who was right and who was wrong. Everyone had an opinion, and the conversation became about more than just music. It became about values, loyalty, and how top artists treat the people who support them. Jim Jones's approach in this situation showed a misunderstanding of the depth of loyalty that 50 Cent values. Something fans deeply respect, and it is why Murda's endorsement of 50 Cent carried so much weight in the feud. Jim Jones' attempt to undermine Yayo and loyalty in general failed because he did not understand the depth of these relationships. Loyalty in this context is not about clinging to someone for relevance. It is about standing together through challenges, supporting each other's growth, and building a lasting bond. Murda's words reflected years of first-hand experience, making them far more powerful than any casual comment Jim Jones could make. The comparison between 50 Cent and Jay-Z also illustrates different leadership styles. Jay-Z operates strategically, focusing on what benefits the business and maintaining control over the brand. 50 Cent, on the other hand, prioritizes loyalty, family, and trust. Both approaches have their advantages, but the emotional impact is very different. People in 50 Cent's circle feel genuinely supported, while those around Jay-Z often feel the relationship is conditional. This difference is what fans are responding to when they side with 50 Cent in debates online. Uncle Murda's involvement in this situation brought attention to these contrasting approaches. By speaking from experience, he provided credibility that few others could match. He has seen both sides of the industry, and his perspective is shaped by years of first-hand involvement. Murda's support for 50 Cent was not just about taking a side, it was about highlighting the real difference between genuine loyalty and conditional business relationships. The feud also sparked discussions about values in the hip-hop community. Fans debated whether loyalty or strategy is more important, whether family or business should come first, and how artists should treat the people who helped them rise. These are not simple questions, and opinions vary widely. Some argue that Jay-Z's strategic approach is smart and effective, while others feel that 50 Cent's loyalty-based approach creates stronger, more lasting relationships. Another important point is the visibility of loyalty. 50 Cent makes his loyalty known, supporting his team publicly and privately. Fans can see the difference, which strengthens the perception that he values trust and brotherhood. Jay-Z's support, while sometimes present behind the scenes, is less visible and more strategic, leading some fans to question whether loyalty is a priority for him. Murda's statement crystallized this perception, showing that loyalty is not just about actions, but also about consistency and values over time. The feud, therefore, is not just about Jim Jones, Tony Yayo, or Uncle Murda. It is about a broader conversation on how artists manage relationships and build legacies. 50 Cent and Jay-Z represent two very different philosophies. One is about loyalty, trust, and shared history. The other is about strategy, leverage, and measured decisions. Both approaches can lead to success, but they produce different outcomes in terms of personal bonds, team stability, and public perception. Fans responded strongly to Murda's statement because it hit on something real. People have seen the effects of conditional loyalty in the industry and recognize the value of relationships that endure beyond business convenience. The ongoing debate reflects the importance of trust, consistency, and respect in shaping how artists build their careers and maintain their circles. Even beyond music, this conversation resonates with anyone trying to navigate relationships in business or life. Loyalty versus strategy, family versus business, trust versus calculation, these are universal questions. Uncle Murda's comment sparked discussion because it highlighted the human side of the music industry, showing that choices about who to support and how to treat people have lasting consequences. The feud also reminds fans that appearances can be deceiving. Jim Jones tried to frame loyalty as weakness, but Murda and Yayo showed that real strength lies in sticking with the people who stood by you through challenges. 50 Cent's support of his team is a long-term investment in relationships, not a short-term calculation for attention or profit. That mindset has allowed him to build a circle that remains tight decades later. In conclusion, the situation between Jim Jones, Tony Yayo, and Uncle Murda is a reflection of larger truths in the music industry. Loyalty and brotherhood, as demonstrated by 50 Cent, create bonds that last beyond money, fame, and changing circumstances. Strategy and conditional support, as seen with Jay-Z, can lead to success, but often at the cost of personal relationships. Murda's statement, "Jay got business partners, but 50 got brothers," captured the essence of this difference and sparked a much-needed conversation about values, respect, and how real loyalty shapes the hip-hop world. Fans will continue to debate and take sides, but the lessons from this feud are clear. Loyalty builds legacy, trust creates stability, and relationships based on respect endure far longer than those based solely on convenience. Whether you side with 50 Cent, Jay-Z, or simply appreciate the discussion, the key takeaway is that the way artists treat the people around them matters. The story of this feud and the way Murda stepped in to defend loyalty serves as a reminder of why respect, consistency, and brotherhood are invaluable in any field, especially in the music industry. This conversation also shows how powerful a single statement can be when it comes from experience and truth. Uncle Murda didn't just speak randomly, he shared what he has seen, what he has lived, and what he has benefited from personally. That credibility gave his words weight, and fans immediately recognized it. Social media exploded because people understood that loyalty isn't just a buzzword, it is action, history, and trust demonstrated over time. 50 Cent's approach to loyalty continues to influence those around him. His mentorship, support, and consistent treatment of his team create an environment where people feel valued and respected. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda have shared stories about how this support changed their lives, not because it made them rich overnight, but because it created opportunities, stability, and growth that endure over years. This is the foundation of 50 Cent's legacy, one built not only on music but on loyalty and trust. Meanwhile, the debate around Jay-Z remains. While he is undeniably successful and strategic, fans and collaborators have pointed out that loyalty often takes a back seat in his circle. Murda's comments, combined with the experiences shared by others, highlight the contrast between corporate-minded strategy and personal, loyalty-based leadership. Both approaches can lead to success, but they produce different outcomes in terms of personal bonds, team stability, and public perception. Achieve success, but they shape relationships and legacies differently. Ultimately, the feud between Jim Jones, Tony Yayo, and Uncle Murda is about more than just who said what. It is about values, choices, and the kind of people artists choose to surround themselves with. 50 Cent's example shows that loyalty, consistency, and respect create bonds that last, while Jay-Z's approach demonstrates that strategy and business acumen can sometimes replace emotional connection. Fans notice these differences, which is why debates like this continue to capture attention and spark discussion. At the heart of it, Uncle Murda's words remind everyone watching that loyalty is not just a concept, it is a practice. It is shown in actions, decisions, and consistent support over time. 50 Cent embodies this, and his circle of brothers is living proof. In a world where fame, money, and power can change everything, the value of trust, respect, and loyalty becomes clearer than ever. The story also reinforces that actions speak louder than words. Jim Jones' attempt to dismiss loyalty as weakness was met with clear evidence from Murda and Yayo. 50 Cent's decades-long consistency with his team shows that loyalty is not a gimmick, but a principle that guides how he operates. This principle has allowed him to build a circle that remains solid, connected, and successful, even after years of change in the industry. Fans will continue to discuss, debate, and pick sides, but the lessons remain. Loyalty builds legacy, trust strengthens relationships, and respect creates enduring bonds. Whether in music, business, or life, the difference between loyalty and strategy, family and business, brotherhood and partnerships can determine not just success, but the depth and quality of the connections we hold. Uncle Murda's statement, backed by experience, clarity, and truth, will remain a touchstone for anyone trying to understand these dynamics. The contrast between 50 Cent and Jay-Z shows us that there are different ways to lead, different ways to reward people, and different ways to think about loyalty. With 50 Cent, loyalty is a priority. It comes first. It is not a tactic or a strategy. It is how he operates. The people who were there with him when he had nothing are still there today, decades later, enjoying the wins together. That type of loyalty is rare, and it is why Uncle Murda, Tony Yayo, and many others continue to speak highly of 50 Cent. Their experiences give credibility to the idea that loyalty can be more valuable than money, more valuable than fame, and sometimes even more valuable than talent. When you compare that to Jay-Z's approach, it is clear why some fans feel differently about him. Jay-Z moves with the mindset of a CEO. Relationships are evaluated based on benefit and alignment with goals. People are brought in when they serve the brand, and when they no longer serve that purpose, connections fade. History shows this repeatedly. Focused on appearances, trying to make it seem like Yayo was clinging to 50 for relevance. However, anyone who knows 50 Cent's history knows that this is not about appearances at all. 50 Cent has always rewarded people for sticking with him through the struggles, whether it was during the early mixtape days or when he was building the G-Unit brand. Loyalty is not optional. It is the foundation of how he operates. Murda's statement about brothers versus business partners highlights this perfectly. For 50, it is not about the moment or the money. It is about who is there from the start and who can be trusted to stay solid no matter what happens. Many fans responded strongly to this statement because it resonated with their understanding of true loyalty. Unlike corporate loyalty, which is conditional, 50 Cent's loyalty is unconditional within his circle. If someone stood by him when he had nothing, he will stand by them when he has everything. This creates a bond that goes beyond contracts, appearances, or temporary fame. It is about real respect, shared history, and trust. For Murda, this distinction is clear, and he did not hesitate to call it out when Jim Jones tried to muddy the waters. The history of 50 Cent's loyalty extends to other members of his circle as well. Memphis Bleek, for instance, has had a completely different experience with Jay-Z compared to 50 Cent. Jay-Z operates with a strategy-first mindset. He rewards people while it benefits him, and once the value is no longer there, the energy and support fade. This was reflected in Bleek's own experiences, where he felt that once the spotlight shifted or the numbers stopped aligning, he was no longer a priority. By contrast, 50 Cent has always kept his team close, consistently supporting them both publicly and privately, and making sure they continue to grow alongside him. Stories like Uncle Murda's and Tony Yayo's are important because they reveal what loyalty looks like in practice. Murda talked about the time he linked up with 50 Cent and how it was a completely different energy compared to other situations he had experienced in the industry. There was no fake loyalty, no empty promises, and no smiling faces that disappeared later. Everything was real and consistent. He even shared moments about living in 50 Cent's crib and being supported in ways that showed commitment beyond what any business contract could guarantee. One of the most striking aspects of 50 Cent's loyalty is how it manifests in everyday life. He ensures his crew is involved in tours, keeps them in the public eye, and creates long-term opportunities. This is not just about appearances, it is about real growth and real support. Murda and Yayo have both emphasized that 50 Cent's approach is about teaching his people how to handle money, build wealth, and make smart moves that last far after the music fades. That type of mentorship is rare in the industry, and it is a key reason why his circle has remained solid for decades. When Jim Jones jumped into the discussion, he underestimated the history and depth of the relationships he was challenging. He tried to frame 50 Cent's loyalty as dependence, but fans quickly recognized the truth behind Murda's words. Social media lit up as people debated loyalty versus strategy, family versus business, and who truly deserves deserves respect in the hip-hop world. Many sided with 50 Cent, acknowledging that loyalty like his is rare and often more valuable than business strategies or calculated moves. The distinction between 50 Cent and Jay-Z is clear when you look at their respective histories. Jay-Z has built an empire and achieved massive success through strategy, careful planning, and calculated decisions. This approach works in a corporate sense and has made him one of the most influential figures in music. However, the trade-off is that emotional bonds, loyalty, and brotherhood often take a back seat. People who were once close may find themselves distanced once they no longer serve the brand, whether it is Kanye West, Dame Dash, or others who were involved in Jay-Z's early career. In contrast, 50 Cent has shown a pattern of keeping his people close, regardless of business considerations. His circle includes those who stood by him from the beginning, and he continues to reward them for their loyalty. Uncle Murda himself mentioned that signing with G-Unit changed his life. He was able to buy his first house and create stability for himself and his family, all because 50 Cent valued loyalty and acted on it. This type of support goes beyond simple business transactions and shows a level of care and respect that is rare in the music industry. Fans have been watching these dynamics unfold for years, and moments like the one with Jim Jones only make the differences more apparent. When 50 Cent helps his crew with tours, TV appearances, and international exposure, he is not just creating opportunities for immediate gain, he is building long-term legacies. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's approach focuses on a strategic alignment of interests, which can leave former collaborators feeling forgotten.